Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachat Deshatarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we live today very special small kirtan that Prabhupada used to like. Before every class, Prabhupada used to sing this. So beautiful. So he says that this kirtan, which is composed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has everything. It has a Krishna, it has a Radha, it has a Yashodamai, it has a Brajavasis, it has all the gopis, and it also has the Govardhan and Yamuna, and also cows. So that's why Prabhupada says that this is everything of what we need on the Vrindavan. So I'll just sing here, just short one. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. So it says Krishna is the Radha Madhava, he is the lover of Radha. He displays many pastimes in the Kunja Bihari, in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the Gopi Jana Vallabh. He is the lover of the gopis. Gopi Jana Vallabh is the lover of the gopis, governments. And Girivaradhari, the person who held the Govardhana, and is Yashoda Nandana. Nandana means the son. So he's a darling son of Mother Yashoda. Braja Jana Ranjana, he is very dear or delighter of the inhabitants of Braja, that is the Braja. And he wanders in the forest of Vrindavan along the bank of Yamuna Tira, along the bank of river Yamuna. So we'll sing this small one. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hari. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Subhadramai, Jaya Sudarshana, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Simha Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Gauranika, Jaya Gauranika, Gauranika, Jaya Gauranika, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So welcome all of you to our 14th week. Can you imagine? We are in 14th week. Just 2 more weeks and we'll be fourth month, completing fourth month. So very nice to see all the very sincere, dedicated participants here, which gives us a lot of enthusiasm. It gives inspirations for all of us to continue week after week. So nice of you. 15th, Chilananda Prabhu says 15th. I think it's 14th. Last time we said 13. So welcome. So today we are going to come back to our 8th session, which is nothing but who is the real boss. And just to remind you that today is the last day of this Kartika month, which we are celebrating from Purnima to this. So, but before that, just wanted to, before we go to this real boss stuff, wanted to see from the devotees here, participants here, what is that we discussed last week? 15th week, okay, we correct ourselves, it's 15th week. So what did we discuss? What is the Krishna's name that we discussed last week? The before week was the Damodar, and the last week we discussed about the pastimes. What was the pastime that we discussed? Krishna's childhood, Govardhan, okay? So Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill. So that's why Krishna is called as, what is Krishna called for this wonderful pastime? Childhood pastime. Govardhan pastimes, okay? What is Krishna called? Giridhari, very good, very good. Gandharvika Giridhari. Our temple deities at our temple, which is near the Hebbal, the deities, the Archa Vigra there is called as Gandharvika Giridhari. So Radha is called as Gandharvika and Krishna is called as Giridhari. So beautiful. So Krishna's pastime we discuss about Giridhari. And what was the main purposes, or what are the main, what were the main purposes of Krishna doing the whole pastimes, inviting the wrath of Indra, putting all the Brajavasis into real difficult situation. And so what were the couple of purposes that we discussed, at least couple of purposes? Show Leela, to teach Indra, very good. To teach Indra, to make him free from the false pride, okay? To teach Indra, to show the pastimes, okay? From his false pride, yes. Protector of cows, engaging our senses in the service of Krishna, wonderful. And also very important that Krishna wanted to have uninterrupted association, or to give his uninterrupted association to all the Brajavasis. And how many days and how many nights? Without eating, without drinking, without getting fatigued. 7 days and 7 nights, wonderful. So the devotees, along with Krishna, even neither Krishna felt fatigue nor the Brajavasis, they are so enjoying. So that really shows that once we cross beyond these material things, we really we don't need the maintenance things. 7 days and 7 nights. What 7 days they can do for eternal without eating anything? To instill the respect due to him as the supreme Lord. Yeah, fantastic point. To instill the respect due, which is he's the supreme boss, and I think that's a good point here. Nilima Mataji is telling us, and that we can connect the topic of who is the real boss. So we'll discuss about that. So today what we are going to discuss is the concept of the boss. When we say boss, what does come to our mind? Is our real boss a person or impersonal light? Are there many gods or one God? And then what scriptures say about this, and why God is all attractive, which is not like any other bosses. And practical tip of the day if we get it through that. So what is the concept of the boss? So when we see this picture of this boss or the image, so what is that one get to our mind? What thought comes to our mind? Just follow my order. Very good. Dominant. Very authoritative. Which is just my follow order. Rude. Not very pleasing. Full of pride. So how many of us like our boss? Probably we should have this poll here. I don't know whether we can do the on the go, but we cannot maybe. Yes. How many of us like our boss? Can we have some quick opinion? How many of us like the boss? No, I like my boss truly. Okay, very good. Shobha Mata saying she likes her boss truly. So we have, of course, some good bosses, bad bosses in life, but sometimes it gets very difficult. Nilanjana says, I like my boss. Very good. They understand my health issues and cooperate with me. Okay, very good. My boss is also good. Roma Mataji is saying her boss is also good. Good. So nice to hear that many of our participants have a very good boss. That's nice to have that. So everyone want to be boss. There are different ways that one can be boss of some people, boss of our own life, and there are different slogans that goes around that be boss of your own life. Tired of working for someone else's dreams, a new world awaits for you. So there is a constant competitions in a office to become a boss, career growth, growing in the corporate ladder. Now the question comes, why people want to become a boss? Or we want to become boss? And somebody saying that boss got fired him. Yeah, of course there will be like challenges. So why people are we want to become a boss? Any thought? Power. Very good. Boss means power. We will have higher authority. Very good. Authority. Control. Yes. Because we want to have control over the people and the things to get the assigned task done. Yes. To get the task quickly done. However, in the material world, being a subordinate is not that great. Servant is not the word of right, because if we say in the material world, everybody would like to boss, and contrarily, that the opposite to the boss is servant. Nobody would like to be servant. So the point here is that we all of us, some or the other way, we want to control things. Either we want to become boss of our home or boss at office or wherever we are working. So because it feels nice to have the control over the people and things and authority, as some of the participants mentioned here. What does Bhagavad Gita say? That starts with very wonderful shloka. 5.29, the last shloka of the 5th chapter. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim ruchati. So this shloka is also called as a peace formula, because it gives the peace. Shantim ruchati, one can attain the or achieve the peace. So how can one achieve the peace? This is what the Lord is telling to Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna. Bhoktaram yajna tapasa. He says, I am the enjoyer of all the yajnas and austerities that one does. Sarva loko maheshwara. He is the supreme Lord. He is the supreme boss of all the planets. Sarva loka maheshwaram. And who is he? Surudam sarva bhutanam. He is the benefactor and the well-wisher of whom? All the living entities. Sarva bhutanam. Jnatva. After knowing this, shantim ruchati, one will attain the peace. So the question comes is that who is the real boss? As we are discussing that people want to become boss, but who is the real boss? And that's what Bhagavad Gita talks here, is that the real boss is the Lord Krishna himself. He says that I am Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasa. Now we do some austerities, we do some tapascharya's, thinking that we are the enjoyer. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he is the ultimate beneficiary of all the tapascharya's, all the sacrifice that one does. Not only that, he is the Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Ishwaram is the master controller. He is the Sarva Loka Maheshwara. He is also called as Param Ishwara, the supreme controller. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. And he is the well-wisher of all living entities, and one who knows this, he attains the peace. Now the question comes, we also seems to be enjoying, or we seems to be having some power, some control. Then how is that the Lord is the supreme controller? The example can be given that, for example, the mason, the person who is constructing the building, the owner or the who is the real master, he gives all the resources to the mason, and then what he does, he builds the building. And once the building is complete, the mason cannot think that this building belongs to him, because all the resources are provided to the mason by the owner in terms of the cement or the bricks, water, the steel structures, and the human beings and the money, and all the resources are provided by the owner. So the mason is just the one who has some skills, and he's using his skills, provided that all the inputs are given by the owner. So similarly, we all get all the resources by the Supreme Lord, and we utilize that resources thinking that we are the Supreme Lord, we are the master, and we can enjoy all those things. Just like the mason cannot enjoy the house that he had built, he can just utilize his skills and build the house, but he cannot really enjoy that other than the owner. So similarly, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasa, the mason can do a lot of tapascharas. He can start working from morning 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock till dark night. Still, he cannot claim that he is the owner of that house. Now the question, that the problem, that is the problem, because I want to be the big boss, but unfortunately there is someone is already there, right? So we cannot really get that position which we wanted. And if we understand that he is the Supreme Lord, then this Bhagavad Gita shloka actually gives the lot of peace in our life. Now the question comes, if Lord is the Supreme Lord, as the Supreme Boss, then is he person or an energy? What is your thought? Is a God person, or does he have any form, or is he originally formless? Energy? Okay. Formless energy. Okay. Sanjay Prabhu is saying person, form and formless, supreme energy. Okay. Made of Panchat Bhuta. Person with infinite energy. Person. Okay. Vishwar Prabhu is saying person. Okay. So we have really what you call both the thoughts, that Krishna is a person, the Lord is a person, and Lord is also energy. Let's see that how we can understand what is the person, what is the energy. Before that, let us see the wonderful shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavana iti shabdete. So the translation goes like this. The London transcendentalist who knows the absolute truth, Param Satya, call this non-dual substance as a Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So they say that this Parama Satya, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavana iti shabdati. So this Bhagavatam shloka gives that the learned transcendentalist, transcendentalist means transcendental, who is beyond the three modes of material nature, who is beyond the concept of the duality, happiness, distress, I like, I don't like, the sukha, dukkha, the cold, hot. These are all the dualities. These dualities are in this material world. But the persons, the saintly personalities who are beyond these dualities, they are the transcendentalists. They tell that the Param Satya can be realized in a three ways. And what are those three realizations? One is called as a Brahman, the second is called as Paramatma, and the last one is called as Bhagavan. The Brahman is the energy which is simply the effulgence of the Lord Krishna's body. So, which is all pervading, because there is nothing which is not under the control of Krishna's energy. So that is called as a Brahman. So this is the first realization, and the next is called as a Paramatma. The Paramatma is the super soul, the localized aspect who is in the heart of all the living entities, all the atoms and all the small things, whatever that we can even perceive, think of, everywhere the presence of Lord is called as Paramatma, omnipotent. And the last but not the least is called as the Bhagavan, which is the personal feature and which is the source of everything, and who is the full of Sat, which is the Sat, Chit, and Anand, which is the full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. These three aspects of the supreme truth exist simultaneously, which is the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. We'll go in detail on these things. For example, when we are traveling in train or by road, we see the forest like the green sheet. As we get closer, as closer and closer, what happens? We get more and more details. And if we actually climb on the mountain, then we can see that, oh, there is a houses, there are trees, there are animals. So what does it mean? That means as we are away from that, we get the blurred image. So that blurred image really indicates that we are far from the objects. And as we go closer and closer and closer, we can understand the minute details, just like we can see that on that forest, there is a house, there are animals, there are trees. So we can understand as we go closer and closer, we can understand the minute details of that. So Prabhu is asking what is the difference between Brahman and Paramatma. I'm coming to that. One analogy is there. So as we come closer and closer, we get the clarity of the trees, we get the clarity of the rocks, the trees, the house, so the houses there. So it means that when we get closer and closer, we get the more details of that, and the more that we are far from that, the more we have the blurred image of that. Now, how do we understand the Brahman, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan? So let's see, Prabhupada always gives this analogy. The sun rays are nothing but the Brahman realization, the Brahman aspect of the absolute truth, which is the effulgence coming from the spiritual law, supreme Lord. That is the Brahman. Here the sun rays can be equaled or can be compared to the Brahman aspect. You can see the sun rays everywhere, right? So that similarly we can see the Brahman, which is nothing but the energy, the light coming from the Lord's body. So that is called as the first realization, called as a Brahman realization. And then the second is called the sun planet, and which can be compared, or which can be the analogy can be compared to the Paramatma. And the last is the, because as we say in Sanskrit, the word for the planet is called Loka. The Loka means the place for inhabitants. So we call it as Prithvi Loka, Surya Loka, Chandra Loka. That means there are people, are the inhabitants, there are people, living entities who are living there. So similarly, as we see the surface of this sun planet, that means there is a presiding deity, and that deity is called as a Surya Deva. So similarly, the Bhagavan is the personal realization, the personal aspect of the absolute truth, Param Satya. Just like the rays cannot exist without the sun god, because as we say, as soon as we say Shakti, so what does it come to our mind? The Shakti must have Shakti man, right? So when we have Shakti man, that means there is a person who exhibits this Shakti energies. Shakti has no presence without the person. And that is why the absolute, when we say Bhagavan realization, the Param Satya, the absolute truth, which is the last realization, which is the Bhagavan realization, automatically it means that it covers the both realization, the Brahma realization as well as the Paramatma realization. Yeah, it is said that the three ways we can perceive the sun: sun rays, the sun globe, and the presiding deity of the sun god. That is the currently the sun god is Vivaswan. Sun god and the planets are not same. The Loka, just like a Prithvi Loka is there, but the Prithvi Loka, there is some presiding deity. So there is a difference between the sun and the sun globe. I'm talking about the sun globe and the presiding deity. It's just like a Prithvi Loka. Then there is some Surya Loka, but in that Surya Loka, there is a one presiding deity, and that is the Surya Devata. So that Surya Devata is different from the Surya Loka. And but Surya Loka, the sun god, is the presiding deity, and from sun god comes the everything else. We'll go more details in the coming slide. So here is what the absolute truth, Param Satya, the Brahman, the first is Param Brahman, which is the energy, which is simply the effulgence of the Krishna's body. And that energy fire, heat, and light. Yeah, Sanjay Prabhu says it's like a fire, heat, and light. Fire, heat, and light is the energy of that, because when we say sunrise, as we have sunrays means we have light and we have heat. So that is what the energy of that. So similarly, the Brahman realization is the energy which is simply the effulgence of the Krishna's body, which is all pervading energy. And the next is the Paramatma, where the Brahman is where all the Gyanis actually try to target or aspire for, whereas the yogis try to aspire for Paramatma. So what is the Paramatma? It is the super soul, the localized aspect who is in the heart of all the living entities, who pervades every atom. He controls everything. Nothing is out of his control. He escorts all the living entities from one body to another body in this material world. The super soul is the giver of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So that localized aspect of the Lord who is present in all the atoms is called as Paramatma. And the last and the ultimate, when I say last, the ultimate realization of the absolute truth is called as the Bhagavan. And what is the Bhagavan? Is the personal feature of the absolute truth, is the source of everything, is the full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. It is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. Bhagavan aspect is all glorious, all beautiful, threefold bending form of Lord, Tribhanga, Bhagavan, Lord Sri Krishna. And the realization, once we realize this Bhagavan realization, automatically it includes the realization of other two aspects, which is the Brahman realization and Paramatma realization. For example, If somebody is studying in 10th standard, it automatically means that he has already studied, or it includes the studying of 8th standard and 9th standard. So similarly, when we have the ultimate realization of Bhagavan, it automatically includes the Brahman realization and the Paramatma realization. So, and of course, one thing we need to realize that all these three aspects of the supreme truth or the Paramatma exist simultaneously. So why do you think that the Paramatma, the Bhagavan realization is the ultimate realization? How it differs from the Brahman realization and the Paramatma realizations? And we discussed this very quickly, or maybe some during the last two Sundays, last two weekends, last two Sundays, where we discuss about the pastimes of Krishna as a Damodar and Krishna as a Giridhari. So why do you think that the absolute truth, which is the supreme Lord, which is the in the form of personal, which has the personal feature, which is the ultimate realizations? What do you think? Why do you think that the absolute truth, Param Satya, in his personal form, is the ultimate realization? How it differs from the other Paramatma and Brahman realization? Any thought? Is the source of everything? Yeah, that is the right understanding, because when there is a Shakti, we immediately understand there must be Shaktiman. So he's the source of everything. Okay, good. What is the more difference that from our perspective that we can understand that how the personal feature of the Lord is the ultimate realization? When, okay, I give some hint here. Suppose we as the living entities, we are alone with some energy. For example, we have heat, light, water, everything what we needed. Will we be happy, or what we need to be happy with? Any other thought here? Source of everything, controller of everything. Okay. If one realizes Bhagwan, then we automatically get access to his warmth, glow, and energy. Very good. Immortal. Okay. But what is that actually? Suppose as a living entity, suppose I am in this room and I am given all the facilities, but I am alone in this. How will the situation for me? So what will be I missing in this room? Or for example, now we all are actually quarantined for a quite long time, 9 months or 10 months. So what is that we are missing now? Association, companion, love and care. Fantastic. So can Mother Yashoda go to the energy and say, oh energy, you are my son and I will bind you? Or she goes to Paramatma and try to bind? Or where it is more apt, more exchanges happens between as a Krishna, as a Bhagavan, and Mother Yashoda comes and binds? Which pastimes you think is more exchange of love? Which pastimes you think has more apt and more exchanges of love, as a Paramatma and Mother Yashoda, or the Brahman and Mother Yashoda, and Krishna, Bhagavan and Mother Yashoda? Mother Yashoda, right? Because that is where the exchanges happen between Mother Yashoda and the devotees, and that is where Bhagavan is the ultimate realization. Because when there is exchanges, that is where we actually get the happiness. When there is no exchanges of love, we cannot remain idle like this in a Brahman or Paramatman. That is why this, when we say Sat, Chit and Ananda, these are the three aspects of this absolute truth. The Sat means eternal, and that is where the Brahman has. Paramatma has a Sat and Chit, which is the eternity and the knowledge, and the Bhagwan has all three. What is that? Sat, which is eternal, Chit, knowledge, and Anand, bliss. So that Anand is not there in all other two realization. Yes, Mataji is saying that Bhagwan and Mother Yashoda. And we could easily pursue Krishna and connect with that. Yes, we could actually feel that love between Krishna and devotees. That is why when we say Bhagavan, the personal feature is very important. Now, why we have a problem to understand that the Bhagavan, the absolute truth, can be a person form? What is the problem for all of us to understand that the form Krishna or the Lord has a form? The first thing that we try to understand from our limited experience and limited knowledge. For example, we have the form, and when we have the form, our form is limited. Our form is a temporary. So when we think that Lord also has a form, so we extrapolate thinking that his form is also temporary and his form is also um, limited. And that is why we have a problem and difficulty to understand. For example, now I am sitting here, I cannot be sitting somewhere else, right? So that's a limitation. And this form, this body, what I have, cannot be lasting forever. So because of that understanding and that experience, we think that if Lord also has a form, then that form actually is limiting Lord. However, we need to understand here that the Lord's body is not like our body, which is made of Pancha Mahabhutas. Somebody was actually writing that Lord is made of Pancha Mahabhuta. That's not the case. If Lord is made of Pancha Mahabhutas, then the Pancha Mahabhutas get, because over the period of time, everything gets degraded. Everything gets, because of the time, everything gets degraded. Over the period of, everything gets degraded. So when the time gets over the period get degraded, if the Pancha Mahabhuta get degraded, then how Lord can be called as Lord? Because his body is degraded. So that is the one thing that actually makes us very difficult to understand that the Lord has a form. Second thing, we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, when Narad Muni was visiting Lord Krishna, there now he's exhibiting as opulence. He's not like a small child in Vraja or Vrindavan. So there he's exhibiting as a king. So what he had? There he had 16,108 palaces. And each palaces, when Narad Muni visit, he sees Krishna having very wonderful exchanges of love between each queen, and he go to the next palace, and then he sees Krishna there having a very wonderful time with different queen. So Krishna can expand himself unlimitedly, but we as individual beings, we cannot expand ourselves. That is the limitations of our body, which is a Pancha Mahabhutas. So that is why we find it very difficult to understand that Krishna has a form. Now I will tell you another point, important point here is that Nilanjana Das, may I say something? Yes, Prabhu, if you want to say something quickly, go ahead.
Hi, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mata.
Actually, I was very surprised today we are discussing this chapter regarding why we give a personality to Bhagwan, because from the last few days I was thinking about it. And my thinking was, in business areas also, when we try to sell a product, we always create a persona so that it is easier for us to understand. So even God also for me is a person, because as you said, it gives me the idea that he is my companion, he is my fellowship anywhere and everywhere, not necessarily confined to a particular place. And today we are discussing this. I think it is becoming more clear for me. So that's all I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'll, as one point which I was telling that, as I was telling that, yeah, why we find it difficult to have that understand. And then the other point which I was telling, that if Lord is source of everything, then if I have a form, then the source of my should also have a form, right? If he doesn't have form and then I have a form, that means he's not limited, he's limited. He should be unlimited. If unlimited, the God definition, one of our acharyas said the God definition is that he should have what we have, what we can see, and he should have something which we cannot even perceive. That's why it's called as achintya, which we cannot even think of that. So if I have a form and my source doesn't have a form, that means my source is limited. But his form is a different. So that is what we are trying to understand here, that Lord has a form, but his form is not like our form. So we'll go to the, it's already 6:43. Now how Lord as a Bhagavan, he is the source of his, we'll see that he's the source of the, or foundation of the energy or the Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka, 14.27, Brahmano hi pratistaham amrutasya avyasya cha shashvatasya dharmasya sukhya aikantikasya cha. And I am the basis of this impersonal Brahman. The Brahman, the energy, is impersonal. It's not a form. It's not the personal form. It's impersonal. So here Krishna in 14.27 is very clearly telling that I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is the immortal, imperishable, and eternal, which is the Brahman, and is the constitutional position of the ultimate happiness. Now here, as we understand that Krishna very clearly defining that he is the source of, as some participant devotees said, that Lord as a Bhagavan, he is the source of everything. For example, if there is action, any action done, then the question arises, who is the Karta? Because without Karta, there cannot be action. So similarly, if there is energy, the question comes, who is the source of that energy? And here Krishna very clearly clarifying that he is the source of the energy. And that Brahman, that Brahman is the foundation of that Brahman is Krishna himself. He's saying that is coming from Aham. I am the source of that. We'll see some more references from the scripture, and this is from Brahma Samhita and Lord Brahma. So don't get confused with the Lord Brahma and Brahman. Brahma is like a living entity, is the post who is the creator of this universe, and there are innumerable universes and there are different Brahmas. And these Brahmas, some of them are three-headed, four-headed, depending upon the different things. Once Lord Brahma came to Dwarka, and the Dwarpal asked him to wait, and he said, you tell, who are you? You said that I am Brahma. And then when the Dwarpal goes to Lord Krishna and tells that Brahma had come, and then Krishna ask him that Dwarpal, ask him, which Brahma are you there? Are you three-headed Brahma, four-headed Brahma, or thousand-headed Brahma? And then when Dwarpal comes there, and when the question was asked to this Brahma was surprised. He was thinking that he is the only Brahma in all the creation. So here, that is the Brahma. But when we talk of Brahman, Brahman is the energy, which is the eternal, all-pervading. So that is what we are talking about, the Brahman realization. So here, now Lord Brahma is praying in Brahma Samhita. He says that, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koti Shwasesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Vinnam Tada Brahma Nishkalam Ananta Shesha Bhutam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of Brahman, mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of the glories of the mundane universe, appears as the invisible, infinite, limitless truth. So here we can clearly, that was the Lord Krishna telling the previous shloka, 14.27, whereas here Lord Brahma is telling that he is, you as a Govinda, you are the source of this Brahman. This mantra from Brahma Samhita is spoken by the platform of the factual realization of absolute truth by the first created beings, that's Lord Brahma. And we can understand that when Lord Brahma is saying that, we cannot get better than Lord Brahma. So we can get very easily the confidence here that Lord Brahma is saying that the Brahman the source of the Brahman is Govinda, and that is why he says that I offer my obeisances, namaskar to you. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship that Govinda. So we can clearly understand that from these two shlokas that Krishna is the source of this Brahman. And now Arjuna had some specific questions like what we may have, that he's asking whether Supreme God is a person or impersonal light. Then he asked the same question in Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, which is called as a Bhakti Yoga. He says, Arjuna uvacham evam satata yukta e bhaktas tvam parya upasate ye chapya aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittama. So here Arjuna is asking the question for all of us, which are considered to be the more perfect. He's asking which is more perfect, those who are engaged in your devotional service or those who worship as the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested, avyakta aksharam. And then Arjuna asked exactly the same question, which is, you tell me, Krishna, I'm confused. You tell me, because you see that sometimes Arjuna's questions are very challenging. And then he asked the question earlier, many questions he was asking, and in the 12th chapter, he's asking the question, you please tell me what is considered to be more perfect. It is to engage in your service as a Krishna, as a Bhagavan, or as engage in the service of Brahman. Let us see what Lord says. Sri Bhagavan Uvacham Maya Avesya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Sraddhaya Parayopetaste Te Mam Me Yukta Tamamataha Maya Avesya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Sraddhaya Paryapotes Tame Yukta Tamamataha. Yukta Tama Mata. Mata means my opinion. So Krishna is saying, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with a great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. That is immediately, as soon as Arjuna asked the question, you tell me please, what is the perfect? Is the perfect being the engaged in the service of Brahman or engaged in the service of Bhagavan? And Krishna says that, he says that this is my opinion. But what is the problem with engaging in the service of Brahman? Then he says, 5th shloka in the same chapter, Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha vadvir avapyate. He says, those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. Klesha means, what do you mean by klesha? Fight, difficulties, challenges. Klesho adhikataras tesham. Krishna says that klesha, if you engage trouble, yes, Vaishali Mantra, conflict. So he says that if you engage in the impersonal feature of the, engage in the service of the impersonal feature, is very troublesome. To make a progress in that discipline is always difficult, those who are embodied. So for us, Krishna is saying that if you try to focus on impersonal, it is very difficult, right? Can you focus on something impersonal, eternal, which has no form, which is easy to focus on impersonal, or to focus on the Lord, which has a form, Trivanga form, having the flute and having the peacock feather and having all those stuff, which is more easy to focus on the impersonal feature or the personal feature? What do you think? Which is more easy? Personal feature. That is what we have. We suppose if you say that okay, which is more easy to focus, to have exchanges with our parents or our son or daughter, because that's a living entity, which is more easy to exchange love. So that is why Krishna is saying that klesho adhikataras. It is very difficult, very troublesome if you engage in the focusing on the impersonal feature of the Lord. Now the question will come, and probably we may have a lot of challenges here, but let's understand that we have 4 more minutes to go. That are there many gods or there is one God? What do you think? Yes, Nilima Mata is saying big personal because you connect one, only one. Okay, one, one, one. Wow. So all these now getting better concept here. So especially in India, it's very difficult because we have so many concepts. Let us see what is Vishnu Purana talks about that. And if you think as impersonal, then there are very impediments which no one can help us. Yes, absolutely. Nilima Mata's wonderful points. A lot of impediments. Hari Govind is saying 3 crore devatas are there. There is a difference between the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan and Devatas. So we are talking about the Bhagavan. Devatas are there. Yes, you are right. 33 crore. So what is the Vishnu Purana talks about this? Very nicely he's talking about the definition of Bhagavan. ऐश्वर्यस्य समाग्रस्य वीर्यस्य यशः श्रियः ज्ञान वैराग्यश्चो चैवं शन्नं भग्ग इतिंगना. So Vishnu Purana talks about Bhagavan, just like we have Gunavan, Dhanavan, very different ones. The one means who possesses the different aspects. If Dhanavan means has a lot of wealth, Gunavan means has good qualities, or is a good. Similarly, what is the Bhagavan? Bhagavan means person who possesses Bhaga. So what is the Bhaga? Here the Vishnu Purana tells so beautifully, given by the Parashar Muni. He talks about that the person who has the 6 opulences in full. We may have someone may have some opulences in limit, but there is absolutely in full forms. What are these Aishwaryas? 6 Aishwaryas. He says that Aishwarya, who has full strength, Virya, that is a Virya, the first is called Virya, Yeshaha, fame, Sriya, wealth, Jnana, knowledge, and Vairagya, Sriya. So it's all called as beauty and Vairagya, renunciation. So if who has all these 6 opulences in a full quantity, there is no limit of that, that person is called as a Bhagavan. Now, as we see on this earthly planet, somebody may be very rich, but he may not be beautiful, may not be knowledgeable. If somebody is knowledgeable, he may not be. And even if they have knowledge, it may not be the absolute knowledge. They may have some knowledge. Somebody may be rich, but he cannot claim that he's a complete in full rich. But there is only one, which Vishnu Purana says that that person is called as a Bhagavan, who possesses all these 6 opulences, which is full strength. Now, if you see that somebody is very strength, then he cannot say that I am beautiful or knowledgeable. So all things cannot go together, but Bhagavan means is everything, full strength. He lifted the Govardhana. Fame is very famous. Even today, people are actually going, even talking about Krishna. Wealth, he has all the wealth. He's called as Chanchalapati. He's the master of goddess of fortune. Knowledge, he has given the wonderful Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Beauty, people are, even the Madan, the personification of the Cupid is attracted to Krishna. Then you can understand how beautiful is Krishna. Renunciation, even if he's everything he has, he can renounce everything in a moment. When the gopis, when there was the pastimes of Ras Leela, and at that moment the gopis felt some kind of feeling of pride, and Krishna immediately disappeared from the scene because he is renounced. And renunciation can be also exhibited that he became the chariot driver of his devotee. Can we understand the person who has a full knowledge, full wealth, full power, yashaha, vairag, and he becoming the chariot driver? No way. If somebody richest person, he cannot become a driver. But here, Krishna is completely renounced, and that person is called as a Bhagavan. God must be full of all these opulences. Now we can see some beautiful shlokas from Bhagavad Gita's Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivisto mataha smurtir jnanam apohanam cha vede chi sarve haram eva vedyo vedanta kruta veda vidaiva chaham. Here Krishna says that I am situated in everyone's heart. From me comes knowledge, remembrance. I am the purpose of the Vedas. In fact, I am the compiler of the Vedantas. All the Vedas are coming from him. I am the knower of the Vedas. If somebody says that I understand all the Vedas and I don't know who Krishna is, that it's like knowing everything but the source of that. So Krishna is the source of everything. The Vedas coming from him. He says, I am the compiler of the Vedantas. I am the knower of the Vedas. And by all the Vedas, if we have to understand, if somebody claims that I know all the Vedas, but what is the purpose of Veda? I don't know. Here Krishna says that purpose of all the Vedas to know Krishna. I am to be known. Very clearly he's saying that I am to be known. Many shlokas, very wonderful shlokas, 7.7, which actually again exhibit the greatness, the supremacy of Lord Sri Krishna. Mataha parataram anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvaidam potram sutre manigana ivaha. Here it is said that, O conqueror of wealth, Dhananjaya is telling to Arjuna, Dhananjaya, there is no truth. Mataha parataram na anyat. There is no truth superior to me. Everything is rest upon me. Just like the pulse, when we see the beads or the mala, we can see the beads, but we cannot see the thread because it's everything is actually on that. It is invisible to the eyes, but we understand that if you remove the thread, the pulse cannot, we cannot have this mala, right? So similarly,
आजा बेटा इशी
can
तू
you be
आजा
on,
इशी
please? Can you be on mute,
इशी
please?
आओ इशी आओ
Mrutyunjay Prabhu, please mute. Okay, thank you. So here is the supreme absolute truth. He said that no one is higher or equal to him. That's why it's called asama rudva. Asama means there is no one equal to him and nobody is above him. Mataha paratanam anyatna kinchit asti dhananjaya. Oh Dhananjaya, there is no one equal to me or above me. We see beads, but we don't see the thread behind it. So can you imagine if we have to launch a satellite? It takes thousands and thousands of brain working from our satellite center here, our research center here in Bangalore, to keep a satellite floating into the orbit. And if we think that, if we say that, oh, all these planets are just working on their own, then we can actually, it actually shows the incompleteness of the knowledge that we have. Because if we have one satellite, Shivani Mataji, can you be on mute? So it takes thousands and thousands of brain working together to put one satellite. Can you imagine that? How many planets are there floating around us? Who is the source of all those things? If there is a creation implies there is a creator. As soon as we say that, okay, this is the watch or this is a laptop is there. So immediately we understand that if there is a design, understand that there is a designer behind that. So it takes thousands and thousands of engineers to launch a satellite. Can we imagine that how many planets are there floating there? Who is behind that? How these planets are floating? Someone is behind that. Did we see any problem? No. Can you imagine that the today's sun did not rise and this sun and that other planets are having traffic jams? No. Perfect planning, perfect arrangement of the Lord. He's the Supreme Lord. He can wonderfully float all these things without any things. He has nothing. He doesn't have to scratch his head and do a lot of research work and then finally you put some satellite. No. He is the source of everything. There is no truth superior to him. Everything rests on beautiful shloka. You can remember this shloka. Mataha parataram na anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. There is no truth which is superior to him. One more shloka, which is the Chatur Shloki, one of the 4 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. Very famous shloka. Aham sarvasya prabhaho, 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabho mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam bhuda bhava samanvita. He says, I am the source of all. Aham sarvasya prabho. I am the source of all the spiritual and the material worlds. Everything comes from me. Mattah sarvam pravartate. And those wise who perfectly know this, Buddha bhava samanvita, they will engage in my service. Krishna is telling 10.8. Now somebody says, oh, why the Lord is boasting about himself? Just like today, we hear about Newton in books. Why? Because he has done something. So similarly, Lord, if he talks about himself, sometimes we have to tell the fact. He's the source of everything. It's not that he's boasting and he's a very garvist or proud. No, he's telling the fact. Fact is that he's the source of everything. And what he's telling? The person who is intelligence, Buddha Bhava Samanvita, the person who is intelligent, by understanding that Krishna is the source of everything, he will engage in the service of him. So similarly, just like we are hearing about the Newton, even after many, many years or decades, we are still hearing, or the centuries here, we are still hearing about Newton. Why not about the Lord, who is the source of not only the first law, second law, and third law of motion, but he is the source of everything. So why not to worship him? Krishna is telling that the intelligent person will actually engage in his service. God has created such a universe which is so complex. Once we have one devotee who is from IIT Kanpur, and he said that if he can create a small machine size of the mosquito, and the people will come and garland him. Can you imagine? So many mosquitoes are flying today. There is one mosquito flying around me. So that if one individual engineers can produce one mosquito like machine, then he will be actually having garland, will be worshipped. Can you imagine how many mosquitoes are actually running around us? And one more important point which I liked, and that when we do some machines, for example, we have this watch, we created a watch. Now, can this watch reproduce on itself to have so many watches? No. But Lord has created such a wonderful entities that they can reproduce on their own. Can you imagine such a wonderful, such an intelligence, complex features that Lord has created? How much intelligence, as the creation implies the creator, this creation is so complex. Can you imagine the intelligence of that creator who has created such a complex thing? So that is why once we understand the greatness, Prabhupada always said that the people generally know God is great, but we should understand how great he is. We can understand from that. If we cannot reproduce, we cannot make a machine. For example, if we create one laptop now, and automatically this laptop should create itself another laptop, one cell phone, another cell phone. No, it cannot. Similarly, but contrary to that, you can imagine the Lord that he has created so complex, but Lord can do all those things. Wonderful shloka 9.10. Maya adhyakshena prakrute suyete sa charachara hetu nanena kaunteya jagadvi parivartate. This material nature, Maya adhyaksha, he says this material nature is one of my energies working under my directions. Adhyaksha, Maya adhyakshana prakriti. This material nature is working under my hand. So here he's telling the previous shloka 7.7, he said that Mataha parataram na anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. He said that he is the source of everything, just like the pearls are actually around that thread. So similarly, he is the source of which is invisible to our eyes. Next says that I am the source of everything. That Am Sarvasya Prabhu Mataha Sarva Pravatate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita. And in this shloka, he says that he is the Adhyaksha, under his direction, whole this material Prakriti is working. He is the supreme controller. Everybody is controlled by this material energy, and Krishna is a controller of that material nature. We are helplessly controlled by this material nature, three modes of material nature. We discussed that, but he is controlling all these three modes of material nature. And I think we are almost coming to the last shloka for this today, and we'll continue about this who is the boss. This is wonderful shloka, Srimad Bhagavatam Sukadeva Goswami in the third canto, first canto, third chapter, when after discussing about the different incarnation, and then he concludes this last shloka, 1.3.28. Yete cha amsakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge. He says, all the above mentioned incarnations, Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami talks about the different incarnations before this shloka 1.3.28, are either Amsha or the portion of the portion of Krishna's energy. But Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. He says that you are the Krishna Swayam. is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on this planet whenever there is a disturbance created by this atheist. The Lord incarnates to protect the theist. Mrudayanti yuge yuge. Just like we have shloka yada yada dharmasya. So similarly here, Indrari Vakulam Lokam Mrudayanti yuge yuge. So it is said that Krishna is the Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Swayam means she's the own Bhagavan. Is the Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Okay, so to just summarize what we discussed, we all want to be boss because it gives the control, authority to control the people, to control the thing. But there is a one super controller. Even if you might be tiny controller, tiny boss, but there is a supreme boss, and that supreme boss, Bhagavad Gita 5.29 says that Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarva Loko Maheshwaram. That Krishna, he says that he's the Bhoktaram, he's the supreme boss. Then we discussed about the whether the supreme boss, now after understanding that supreme boss, whether that supreme boss is the person or energy. Then we discuss about the supreme God is a person, because the energy means there should be some source of energy cannot be the supreme. Then we discussed from the Bhagavatam one shloka that the Param Satya can be realized in three aspects: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization. And the Bhagavan is the ultimate realization. And when one realizes the Bhagavan aspect, you can realize all other three. And then we discussed that how Mataji is very wonderfully said that it must be a person. And then Arjuna asked the similar question: shall I focus on the impersonal feature, or shall I engage in the service of a devotional service as a Bhagavan? Which is better? Then he said that by his by my opinion, engaging in the service of Bhagavan is far better than this, because klesho adhiko taras. Because engaging in the impersonal feature is very klesha, very difficult, very troublesome. And then we discussed the last section that whether the God is one or there are many gods. And then we say that Krishna is one, Bhagavan is one, but the Devatas can be many, and Devatas are nothing but they are the living entities. They are the exalted devotees of Krishna, given some power, who can actually can be the controller of this universal management. They are the universal management with given some power by Lord. Then we discuss about 7.7, 10.8, 9.10, how Krishna says, there is no tattva superior to me. He says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the source of everything. And 10.9, Maya Adhyakshana Prakriti. And then 1.3.28, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Etasya Amsha Kala Pumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. So with that, we'll conclude here. And we have a very wonderful guest today, Simantini Mataji. She will be singing Damodar Ashtakam. Today is the last day of that. Let us see if there is any question quick here. Yeah, Chidanandam Prabhu is understanding correct. Brahman is a Sat, yes. Paramatma is a Sat and Chit. Bhagavan is Sat and Chit Ananda. Okay. So now this is the shloka for this week's homework, which is coming to the same shloka. In the previous shloka we saw that dhyayato vishayantu sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate. Then now this shloka talks about what happens once we get the krodha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smruti vibrama smruti bhamshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. One will fall down. So this is the homework for this week. And we know that this very famous shloka Kruteyat Dhyayato Vishnu Tretayat Ejuto Mukam Dwapare Paricharyam Kalautad Hari Kirtanat. And then we know these 16 shlokas, 16 names composed of 32 syllables. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. It is Shodashakam Namanam Kali Kalmasha Nasanam Natha Paratara Upaya Sarva Vedeshi Drushate. I see some questions are there, probably we'll discuss after this Damodar Ashtakam. Today is the last day for this Damodar Ashtakam, and we have Simantini Mataji. She sings so beautifully, and she engages her whatever the competency that Krishna has given in the service of Krishna by that. So before that, we will chant only few mantras. As usual, we do that to keep ourselves focusing on the holy name of the Lord Krishna. So let's start with that. for maybe a couple of minutes. We will do that wherever you are. Very, very auspicious month. Kartik month is about to end, and we have very wonderful time along with all of you chanting holy name of Lord Krishna. And now it's a time for a few minutes that we will focus. Let's forget about what's around us, and let's connect with that Bhagavan. Let's connect with that Supreme Person, Purushottamam, and chant his holy name, because Abhinatva Nama Namino, Krishna and Krishna's name are not different, because he's on the platform of absolute. In the absolute, there is no difference. In the material world, there is a difference between water and the word water, the name water and the object water. There is a difference. However, in the spiritual world, there is no difference between the object and the name. So here, that is why when we chant the holy name, we are actually associating with Krishna. So let's try to sit as much straight, erect as your body can permit. And let's focus on this holy name of Lord Sri Krishna. First, we will offer our obeisances to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeking the blessings. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Generally, we finish 7 o'clock, but today, because we started little 5 minutes late because the kirtan was not completed, and also we had Jai Radha Madhav today, so that cost us 10 to 12 minutes extra, or 20 minutes rather. So let's have, may I request Simantini Mataji to sing Damodar Ashtakam for all of us.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Shall I start, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Sri Sri Damodar Ashtakam ki jai.
Jai.
Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyo Lokaladavamanam Param Drishtam Madhyam Tato Druta Gopya Yashodabhiyo Lokaladavamanam Param Drishtam Madhyam Tato Druta Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rudantam कराम्बुजायुग्मेन शान्तकनेत्रम् दन्तं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्मं रुजन्तम् कराम्बुजायुग्मेन शान्तकनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्वैरेखाककण्ठ स्थिताग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिभक्तम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्वैरेखाककण्ठ स्थिताग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिभक्तम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुन्दे सघोषणीमार्जन्तम् अख्यापयन्तम् इति दृक्ष्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुन्दे सघोषणीमार्जन्तम् अख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितागेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे तदीयेषितागेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चन्यं प्रेणेऽहं वरिषादपि वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चन्यं प्रेणेऽहं वरिषादपि इदं देवपूर्णाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्याभिरतं किमन्ये इदं देवपूर्णाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्याभिरतं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्बोजं मध्यन्तनीलै नितं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या इदं ते मुखाम्बोजं मध्यन्तनीलै नितं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्याभिरास्तं मालं लक्षलाभै मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्याभिरास्तं मालं लक्षलाभै नमो देव दामोदर अनन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलादिमग्नम् नमो देव दामोदर अनन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलादिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदिनं बतानु गृहाणि क्षमामग्नं निदक्षिदृष्ट्या कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदिनं बतानु गृहाणि क्षमामग्नं निदक्षिदृष्ट्या कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमुच्चैर्भयात्वात् त्वयामुचितौ भक्ति भजो कृतौ च कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमुच्चैर्भयात्वात् त्वयामुचितौ भक्ति भजो कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स कामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे गृहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेहा तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स कामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे गृहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेहा नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्फुरदिन्ति दाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य दाम्ने नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्फुरदिन्ति दाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य दाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयाप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलायै दिवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयाप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलायै दिवाय तुभ्यं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Please offer lamb to the Damodar.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Sri Radhe, Jaya Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar, Jaya Hari, Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hari, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev, Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
So, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So let's thank Simantini Mataji, who came with very short notice, and she kindly agreed to come here and spend time with us for chanting, reciting this Damodar Ashtakam, which is the last day. So let's thank Mataji by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May Lord Damodar offer choicest blessing on Mataji and family, Prabhu and Shaurya, so that they progress very fast and come to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, take the shelter of Lord Krishna. So we offer our humble prayers to Lord Krishna, Damodar, that may he offer the choicest blessing on Mataji and Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So any questions here? I see one questions from, where is that? Homework is 2.63. Understanding correct Brahman, okay. Okay, can you kindly explain the concept of Tridev, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh? So as we see that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, so they are directly related, this creation of this universe. So creation is done by Lord Brahma, so that's why it's called as creator. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that he does the secondary creation, Sarga and Visarga. Sarga is the primary creation. What do you mean by the primary creation and secondary creation? So Lord gives all the necessary elements for Lord Brahma, and then Brahma, from that he creates the secondary creations, what's called as the engineer of this universe. So he's a living entity. He is a living entity, as we discussed that Brahma is a living entity. He's a Jiva Tattva. When we say Jiva Tattva, he's like a living entities like all of us. However, he's very, very exalted. He's a post. So today, anybody, if one is qualified to attain the position of Brahma, he become a Brahma, and then he does the creation as per the direction. The blueprint is given by Krishna, and then Brahma is actually does the secondary creation. So, but he is a Jiva Tattva. He's like, his life may not be like us 100 years, but we know that his life is like Sahasra Yuga Parentam. It's 43. We have discussed that the life is very, very, very big life, very long duration of life. That's a Jiva Tattva. Vishnu is nothing but Krishna himself. Vishnu in office is Krishna. Krishna in office is Vishnu, and Vishnu at home is Krishna. So they are the he's the maintainer of this creation, the universe, and Lord Shiva is the destructor or the annihilator. So, however, in in Brahma Samhita, the prayers of Lord Brahma, he actually talks about the difference between Shambhu and Lord Vishnu. Shambhu, the Lord Shiva, is nothing but it is compared to the analogy of curd or yogurt, dahi, versus the milk. The yogurt comes from the milk, but he's not the milk. So similarly, so he's not like a living entities like a Vishnu or something. Shiva is a very special tattva called as a Shambhu tattva. So he's neither living entities nor the Vishnu tattva. So all the avatars of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, they are on the platform of Vishnu tattva, whereas Lord Shiva is on the platform of Shambhu tattva. So he's a curd, he's a very similar, but he's not the milk. So that is what Brahma Samhita talks about that. And from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can understand many shlokas. Vaishnavanam yatha Shambho. It is said that among all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the best. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, when the Prachetas come to meet, they were on the way to forest and they come to meet, on the way they happen to meet Lord Shiva, and the Lord Shiva actually gives beautiful Rudra Gita, and he actually glorifies about Krishna, how to engage in the service of Krishna. So Shiva is the Shambhu Tattva, and that's why we see that Lord Shiva is actually always meditating. He's meditating on Sankarshana, and he actually talks about that Rudra Gita, that one must engage in the service of Krishna. And he tells the Prachetas that if you want to please me, please engage in the service of Vishnu, Krishna. Now about Krishna being, as we just discussed that question about, is Krishna the avatar? Krishna is not the avatar. Krishna is avatari. That is what the shloka we saw here. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the above incarnations, all the other incarnations, talks about Datta, is about Narsimha, he talks about the Kurma, all these avatars are there. They are avatar, whereas Krishna is avatar. He is a Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So now the question is that, but he comes here as a Vishnu avatar. Now, to understand, for example, if the Prime Minister comes to visit Bangalore, who will introduce Prime Minister to the other living to the citizen of Bangalore? It will be the Chief Minister. Or, for example, if Chief Minister comes to the particular district, who will introduce the Chief Minister? It is the District Collector, DM, District Magistrate. He would introduce the Chief Minister. So, when Krishna comes, he comes through the Vishnu, because Vishnu has a direct connection with this material world. Whereas the Lord Krishna doesn't have any connections. So when Krishna comes, he comes once in the Dhamma, once he comes to Vishnu, because that is what that material world he comes. But he is not avatar of Vishnu. So he appears as avatar, but he is the avatari, he is the source of everything. However, to come to this material world, now for that matter, somebody may ask why he has to take birth from the parents, right? Because he doesn't need. He's a Lord, he's Aja, he doesn't take birth. He has no birth, but he takes birth as a part, as a matter of these pastimes. I hope that answers your question, Mataji. If there is any other question here, otherwise we'll end here. I hope you are offered the lamp to Lord Damodar, last opportunity for this month. Of course, we will get the opportunity next year. We have to wait for another opportunity to wait for next year. Okay, Sanjay Prabhu's very famous question that Madhav Seva and Manav Seva. Manav Seva is better than Madhav Seva. So this is very typical understanding, especially in India. There are many, and now in the whole world, this understanding becoming very prevalent that Manav Seva is better than the Madhav Seva. Now, it is like that we have a relationship, horizontal relationship with the living entities, and we have relationship, the vertical relationship with Lord Sri Krishna. So if we just take care of the horizontal relationship, serving the people, that doesn't complete, that doesn't give the complete understanding that of living, that doesn't fulfill our purpose. The real purpose is to connect with Krishna. And when we serve him, it's like in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is one sloka, it is said that when we water the root, automatically it actually nourishes the branches, the twigs, the flowers, the everything. So similarly, Krishna, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, just now we discussed 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, Mataha Sarvam Pravartate, Iti Matva Bhajanti Mam, Buddha Bhava Samanvita. So when we water the root, automatically everything gets nourished. So when we serve Krishna, because when we serve Krishna, that means we are establishing connection with Krishna, and Krishna, as we have connection with Krishna, and Krishna has all living entities, so automatically we are connecting with Krishna. But if we remove Krishna, we all have just horizontal connections, which has not has a very fulfilling relationship, which is not very satisfaction relationship. The real relationship comes with Krishna, and when we have a relationship with Krishna, automatically we fulfill the relationship with other, because automatically when we become a devotee of Krishna, when aspire to become devotee of Krishna, automatically we serve the people, because the whole things we are talking about, serving the people, serving the devotees of Krishna, serving the, because in Vaishnava philosophy, forget about the devatas, or it talks about giving respect to the smallest living entities, what to talk about the great personality. So, but what is important is not having the, not only having the horizontal relation, but having the vertical relation as well. So if we just serve Manav Seva, it is not the Madhav Seva. But if you say serve Madhav Seva, automatically, just like the Bhagavan automatically concludes or includes the Paramatma and Brahman, similarly, when we serve Madhav, automatically Manav Seva is included there. But if you serve Manav Seva, it doesn't include Madhav Seva. I hope that answers your question, Sanjay Prabhu. Any other question? The more important, okay, let me just focus on that, because today we may serve people in no way we are saying that we should not serve the people. All we are saying is that we can do all philanthropic activities, we can do all those things, but that is good, but that's not the ultimate. Because suppose you help someone, he's hungry, you feed it. We don't say that we are not advising here, that advocating that you don't feed or something, you do that. But the ultimate is that if you give today, he's hungry, tomorrow he's going to be again hungry. So how many and how long you can do that? But if you connect him, the Supreme Lord, in Bhagavatam 1.2.6, it is said that Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yathor Bhakti Adoksaje Ahituki Aprati Atma Yayatma Suprasiddhati. When the living entity engage in the service of Adoksaja, which is the Lord Krishna, then, and that is Ahetu Apratihata, then we living entity becomes Suprasiddhati, then we become satisfied. So if you really want to serve someone, if you really want to do Manav Seva, better connect that Manav Seva with the Madhav Seva, connect that personality, connect that living entity with the Supreme Lord. Then only, because the greatest gift that one can give to the human beings, to our friends, relatives, Krishna. Bring Krishna in their life, connect them to Krishna. That is the greatest gift that one can do to the living entities. Of course, we can take care of their education, philanthropic, like food, medical things. That is good. But the ultimate is that connecting, because these all things will solve our problems on the material level. But as we all know that this material level is not the ultimate, and that doesn't give real satisfaction. The real satisfaction comes Yatma Suprasiddhati, when we engage in the service of Krishna. Sanjay Prabhu says that he always stick to Madhav Seva. Very good. Thank you so much. Manav Seva. This is, some people comes with some kinds of philosophy which has no basis of scripture, because today we are limited. Living entities, ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunam cha. So we all have limited senses, and when our senses are limited, whatever we promote philosophy, that philosophy also is limited. So we have to take off the scripture. What does scripture talks about that? Because scripture is apurusha, coming from the Lord, and scripture cannot have any fault. We have a fault. We have, our senses are limited. How do you know our senses are limited? Now we cannot see for long distance. Very simple, right? We cannot see for long distance. That itself shows that we cannot hear less than 20 hertz of frequency. We cannot hear more than 20,000 hertz frequency. So that's limited. If we keep something in the water, stick, that stick appears to be bent. That shows that our senses are limited. So our senses are limited. And if we promote any philosophy like Mano Seva is Madhav Seva, that philosophy is going to have bound to have a problem, because based on some understanding, and that understanding itself is wrong. But if we take a reference of the scripture says that Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma. Savai Pumsa. Pumsa means living entities. Para Dharma. What is the dharma of all, the supreme dharma of all living entities? Para Dharma. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma. Yathor Bhakti Adhoksaje. To engage in the service of Adhoksaje. And that service should be Ahetukiya Pratihata, Ahetuki Pratihata, Yayatma Suprasiddha. When one engages such a kind of service, that service will give the lasting satisfaction. They did not say that you do Manav Seva. They said that living the purpose of the Paradharma, the supreme dharma of all the living entities. He did not say only about the people of India or Mauritius. Talks about everybody, not of Bangalore or Karnataka, but everybody. Savai Pumsa, Paro Dharma, all the living entities. Yathor Bhakti Adhoksaje, Bhakti unto the Supreme Lord. That is the Paradharma, Supreme Dharma. And the supreme beneficiary. You said that, as Krishna said, I am the supreme beneficiary of all the sacrifice. Bhoktaram yajna tapasa sarva loko maheshwara srudam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shantim ruchati. Once we know that he is the ultimate beneficiary, so why not to do that? Okay. Anything else? Anybody has any questions? 7:42. Otherwise, we'll end here. Okay. Looks like there is no other question. We'll end and we'll continue next week. Thank you very much for joining. 14 or 15. I thought that it was 13 last week, so I added one, so made 14. But there was correction from Shobha Mataji and our Prabhu, Chidanandan Prabhu said it was 15. So let's take yes, for 15th for sure. Good. So we have 15th week continued. And one more week means we completed 4 months. Can you imagine that we started with 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 weeks. You all are there continuously taking part in these our sessions and understanding the higher purpose of life and how to fulfill that purpose by engaging in the service of Krishna. So thank you very much. Let's thank all the devotees who are participating, all our volunteers who are doing selfless service behind the curtain. So many different, Murtyunjay Prabhu doing wonderful services, Anu Prabhu and all other volunteers, they are doing wonderful services to all of you to make sure that you get the understanding of the supreme dharma of all living entities and engage and apply those teachings, understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and apply those teachings in our life or your life. So let's thank all these devotees and all the participants coming week after week, 15 weeks. Thank you so much. Let's chant Hare Krishna for all your spiritual progress. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. La Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. So we'll stop. We'll continue next week from the session number 2. Hare Krishna.